Okay, he
Hold on,
says
let me get the.
Lord
Hold on.
Second
No, no,
part.
no. Hold on. Hold on. Hold on. You're not doing the point. Get the panels, and then we'll go over it. You're not doing the straw man here. Alright? Because I need to go get the Minato statement to it. Because the last panel I just sent has hears and saying it. Now I'm about to go get the other thing in regards to that. So I'm getting the evidence. You tried to talk to me as far as discussion until I get it. So wait. Also, I might change over to my phone for your
Being bound is
Yeah,
not
your mic's
audio.
really
dangerous,
bad.
right?
Like what we
Mine?
sent you.
Alright, cool. I'm gonna go do that. Just give me a minute. Once I get back in, then we can kind of go over this.
Ajax disconnected. His internet's being weird.
So, what's your favorite Gatorade flavor?
Shut. Oh my god, Doc. You're gone.
What I do now?
Breathe.
What is your guys' favorite Gatorade flavor? Or do you guys prefer Powerade over Gatorade? Because if you do, you're just
Yeah, Ajax back.
Okay, okay, shut up. Mute.
So
I'm
the
getting
scan.
the data book. I'm getting the data book thing. Hold on.
I don't think the data book statement has any relevance with regards to this specific
No,
scan.
I said that. Were you
Yeah,
aware
the data
of
book
the?
just
No, no,
the
no. Let me
data
finish.
book just talks
Ajax,
about its
Ajax. Let me
analytical
finish.
skills.
Ajax, let me finish. Okay. I'm trying to say points, so take turns. Stop trying to cut me out when I'm trying to reply. Okay. Now, in regards to the Tobirama thing, I asked you if you are aware of these. You said no. I'm getting you the data book and the Kage statement. This is also included. And yes, it would be relevant in regards to the argument because if he has a high processing
Well,
and
your
let me
elaboration of the data book
finish. Can you
statement
stop
was
interrupting me when I'm
hold on,
not
hold on,
done
hold on,
talking?
hold on, hold on.
Ajax, Ajax,
You said a
I'm not
point.
even.
You said
I'm
a
mid
point.
sentence and I
Hold on.
haven't. I'm trying to
I get that, but
explain
you
it.
stated the
If
point
you
that I disagree
okay, if
with.
you get that, let me finish.
No,
Okay, let me finish.
you're
I
essentially
haven't
claiming
even.
that you're essentially
You're not Ajax,
you're
Ajax, Ajax.
essentially
If I'm
claiming
trying
that
to explain it, okay,
you're saying that the data book statement is a part of your argument, right? But your elaboration of the data
I'm
book
saying
hold
that
on, hold on.
you. I asked no, no. I asked you a question. If you were aware of these three things, 2 points that have three
Not
points of
necessarily.
evidence.
You asked me if I'm
Okay,
aware of him
okay.
foreseeing
You
this.
said
That's
no,
completely
so
different.
I'm getting you the
That's distinct
evidence,
from
and
asking
you
me if
want.
I'm aware of the three scans. What are you talking
Okay,
about?
dude. I asked you if you were aware of this. You said post evidence. If I have not
No,
posted
no,
all
you
the
said you
evidence,
asked me if I
then
was
allow me
aware
to
of
do
the
it.
Hokage
Yeah,
stating
you
that he
said
foresaw
that
this
you
scan.
were not aware, and I should post the evidence. I'm posting the
Yes, but
evidence.
I'm
So
saying that the data book
if
state.
that's the
Hold on.
case, then let me
Okay. Do
go
you want
get
me to
the form.
explain? Do you want me to explain what I
And
actually
that,
mean?
that Ajax,
Initially, you
Ajax,
stated.
I haven't finished getting my evidence, and I told you not to do an argument point with me until I get it. So you will patiently wait for me to get it. Okay?
I'm
'Cause
not giving an argument. What are you talking
I'm
about?
saying don't
I'm not
talk
proposing a
about.
counter argument.
I
I
said
am
don't
simply
make a
saying no.
discussion
The point that I
with me
asserted wasn't
getting
being
this.
relevant. Wasn't
Okay,
The point that I asserted had no
are you
relevance
understanding?
to what we're currently discussing. I'm simply saying, right? I think you're taking things out of proportion, firstly. I'm simply
Dude,
saying
first
that.
off, I asked you a
Hold
question.
on.
Ajax, all I had to do was ask you a question. You said
Listen.
no to it, and
Oh,
so I'm getting the evidence that you cannot make a discussion.
initially, you stated that the data book statement, right? Your elaboration of the data book statement, right, is that all. So sorry about that. Your elaboration of the data book statement is that Tobirama has great analytic skills, right? So this is simply be an
Deductive
elaborate. Hold
and
on, hold on, hold on, hold on, hold
deductive
on. So this data book statement is
reasoning
to simply
in
be an
regards to
elaboration,
attacks.
or rather, them them all enlightening
This is
the
supporting
readers
evidence. This is
with regards
important.
to
This
like
is supporting
Tobirama's
evidence.
traits. I
If
don't
the
think this is
point
relevant to
required,
like this current what?
well, the evidence, but if they are supporting evidence, and this is a part of the supporting evidence,
Okay, so
this
this
can
is a
be
part of your
allowed through.
this is a
You're
part of your
only,
inductive argument.
I mean, yeah, because that would just say that
Okay, so
is able
explain
to
your
read the.
argument right now, please. Go ahead.
Okay, so the supposed blitz that Jubito in this unstable state supposedly
Yeah.
implies that he would be superlative than Tobirama and Hashirama's clones. But the refutation to it is presented with how the third and fourth look at how Tobirama had actually set up a plan in response to this character supposedly trying to hit him. And from what we know of him and Paper Bomb summonings, he has to do a motion in order to summon these things out. So the actual events would just be that Tobirama was able to summon these things and do this before Jubito can either hit
Okay,
him
so what's your main
and
argument?
respond. That Tobirama would have superlative speed to this character in question. And so
Superlative speed to who?
Jubito.
I
And
don't think so.
this
Because
I heard the feeds are already
essentially,
presented.
okay, so do you can I give my refutation to this? Okay,
Yeah, you can do that.
so your major argument, right, is that he foresaw Jubito's blitz attempt. I don't agree with this.
Well, the data book and the third and fourth support the
Well, no, it
idea
doesn't
of stuff.
because of what the third said. Hold on, let's get into what the third said. He said that he already
Sure.
planned, he already landed an attack. He said he landed an attack. So this could just
No,
be
it
in
says
reference
he
to the fact
no,
that
you're
he's
mis.
able to land an attack right after or use the
He says he
opportunity
already laid a
where there's
plan.
there's a small pause between him getting blitzed, right, to land an
No,
attack
he
with
says
Jubito rather than him pulling an
Pearson
attack.
says verbatim that he already laid out his attack plan.
No, he said he
So you
already
already
landed an
misconstrued.
attack.
No,
Yeah, he
he
already
says
landed.
verbatim. No, it says
Okay.
verbatim that he already laid out his attack plan. Meaning
Okay, so
it's not just an.
that could just
That
mean that
means
he
he
laid
already had a
out his attack
strategy.
plan in the split
Yeah, that
second after he got blitzed. That doesn't mean he foresaw the attack.
dude, that would still show relative
Because
or
no,
superlative.
it wouldn't. Because here's the
Yeah,
thing,
it
right?
would.
Here's the thing. Because if Tobirama supposedly foresaw the attack, instead of getting himself or risking himself by getting blitzed or hit by Jubito, he would have dodged the attack and then use it on the paper bomb technique.
Yeah, you know that argument doesn't work because of a few things. I'll explain them to you.
Why? Oh yeah,
Okay,
what are those few things?
the first thing is that you're one not understanding that the argument here is presenting that he would be relative if we're not superlative. I'm arguing for a
I don't.
superlative to that. And the second, hey, let me explain. Okay. And the second being that the Kage were already assembling themselves to actually prepare for anything that would be causing damage or destroy their bodies because they were trying to assess his abilities and capabilities. So at that point, they were willing to take anything as long as they were able to understand how his move sets or his techniques work. This is even supported by Minato saying that was what they were doing and Sasuke as well.
So you think that the only way of him understanding how his moveset and technique work is by getting himself hit?
Well, it's a collective mind to it, which is
I
that
don't think it's a
these
collective
first three.
mind. I think we can
Okay,
figure
they
out
said
the abilities
they
of
came to the
one right
deduction
without
that
getting
that was
yourself
how
hurt.
they came to the deduction that that was how it worked, and that we also see here's info analytics to how this is laid out, and we also see Hashirama's
Tobirama,
clones.
hold on.
Let
Prior
me
to
finish. Let me
Tobirama getting
finish.
blitzed.
Let me
Okay.
finish.
Okay, go
And
ahead.
we also see Hashirama clones assess that they advise everyone to not actually try rushing into him using tandem paper bombs as they're trying to assess it. So the fact
Okay,
that
sure.
these
Okay, sure, fine. I'll, okay, are you finished? I'm saying that
do,
there's
do
nothing
you
for
agree? Are you
Tobirama.
agree?
Hold on. There's
Do you
nothing
agree?
for Tobirama to like find out or anything because Tobirama should already have an intelligibility of how Jobito's attack works. We see that prior
He's
to this scan.
testing.
Hold on.
He's
Prior
testing.
to this scan, right? We see Tobirama. We see Jubito uses his True Secret Orb to like negate the Hashirama's gates, which he implanted on Jubito. So he should already have some sort of intelligibility of how his technique works and how his attack works. And he should already have a he should already have a good amount of information to deduce how his attack worked. Therefore, he wouldn't need to risk
that wouldn't.
himself.
That's
He wouldn't need to risk him.
you're
He wouldn't need to
misconstruing the
risk himself
sequence of
or anything
events.
to
You're
find anything
also
out.
you're
He wouldn't need to
misconstruing the
find
sequence of
he wouldn't
events.
need he wouldn't need to find out anything more about an attack that he already knows about.
Okay, first you're misconstruing the events. He did not actually use a true seeing attack. He just busted out of it. So there's actually no method of how we know he busted the gates. So for all you know, that could be an
Okay,
attack,
but we
or
can
that
just
can be
say,
an
hold on, we can
AP,
just say
or
that
that could
he
just
can
be a
just use
raw
that to deduce
AP
that
doing
he has
that.
an attack potency to like smash
Okay, so your
the
point
gate,
saying it's a
right?
true seeking attack is irrelevant then. What I'm
Okay,
saying is
but
that they were
it
assessing
wouldn't
him
dictate my
anyway.
overall point because my overall
Okay,
point
but
is that
they're
they should have an
assessing.
understanding of Jubito's power and abilities. Or even if he
They
doesn't have
see they see him use. They see an AP thing, then they see an attack that is not that doesn't supposedly follow AP from what they can
why would they
see.
think that the
And
attack doesn't follow AP?
if they are going through the analytics to understand him, they
Yeah,
wouldn't
but the
just say
baseline
on the. They
assumption is
wouldn't
that the
say
attack is
they,
comprised of AP because he's attacking them with
not
that attack.
inherent. Not all techniques
Why?
in Naruto inherently have to do with AP. Is what I'm
Why?
going.
Okay, could you give me an
Can
instance
you?
where like a character sees an attack coming and doesn't think that it's AP related? Because I think that's an extremely unlikely hypothesis you just inserted into the debate.
That would be Genjutsu, since we know that for the most part in the story as presented, that they don't use it in the format of actual
Yes,
physical
but I'm saying that
trauma.
he
So
sees.
that would be
Hold on. Let's get to the main point, right?
actually even
He sees
Kakashi
an
in
AP
part
feed
one
from
states
Jubito,
that
right?
kind of.
So why would he want to find out more about Jubito's attack potency if he already sees a feat which puts him which
That
puts
would
him
not
massively above
be
Hashirama?
that
And
wouldn't
even and
deduce
hold on,
any.
and
That
that
wouldn't
feat
say
was so
anything about
massive.
his
Hold on,
speed
that feat
at
was so
all.
massive.
That
That
wouldn't
feat was
say
so
anything
massive.
about his
That feat was
speed,
so
and that
massive.
wouldn't say
That feat was
inherently
so
about
massive.
anything else
That
he could
feat
be
was so
doing,
massive.
since he
That
has
feat was so
chakra, which
massive.
we know
That
can
feat was
also
so
be
massive.
converted
That
into
feat
a
was so
form that is
massive.
physical
That
and
feat was so
also in
massive.
the
That feat was so
field of
massive.
battle that can
That
actually
feat
be
was so
utilized.
massive. That feat was
That
so
feat is
massive
so
to the
massive
point.
that
That
you
feat
can
was so
keep repeating
massive to the
yourself.
point that Hashirama verbatim states that he's stronger than him, and the attack
Related,
potency of
wouldn't relate
Jubito
to
inputs
speed.
fear into his opponents. So why would
That
they need to find out more about his attack?
because that would
In
just be an
fact, if they
AP
see a feat like that,
deductive
they would think about winning the
valuation
fight
that
or
wouldn't
finding a way to
inherently
defeat
define
him
anything
rather than
regarding
finding out
speed.
more about him.
That would
That's what I'm
only be an
inserting.
AP. That would only an AP feat, and that wouldn't be able to actually deduce anything regarding speed unless they had some crazy made up idea, which at that point you would have to prove, which you can't do that.
What would I
So
have to prove? Could you
okay,
reassert that?
you just made the assertion that from them seeing an AP feat, they would be able to know all of his capabilities, and I'm
I didn't
saying
say
that
that.
an
That's a
AP
huge
that
strawman.
that
I
is
think
not
they
a
would
strong
know
man.
all
That's
his
literally what
abilities. I'm saying that they would have a good
that's a literal
intelligibility of
summary
of
of
his
what you just.
AP, his
That
attack
wouldn't
potency in general.
accomplish the
So they wouldn't
comfortable
risk themselves
speed,
into
since
getting
that doesn't
attacked or hit
inherently
by
work
him.
in Naruto. That wouldn't be that well, bro. Is what I'm gonna say. So at that point, you would have to prove that that would include speed, which there's no speed feats for it.
Okay, so you're saying that I have to prove that it includes speed. Guess why I don't need
No,
to prove that? Because
saying
if
that
they know that he
saying that
possesses an
busting
attack
a
potency
gate
which is dangerous
has nothing to do with
towards
speed,
your
since there's
durability, they
not
would try
much
their
of
best to
statement
dodge your attack
saying
rather
that
than
that's
getting hit by
capable of
it.
speed. They're saying that just because he busted deity gates does not equate to anything regarding speed, because that's more so to do with his AP or physicals. And as far as that goes, there's no demonstration or evaluation that can be placed to a speed calc or measurement. That would be on
I'm
your
not
own.
here just strong manning my argument. That's literally not what I'm arguing. Because I'm not speaking about speed per se. What I'm saying is that
in some capacity,
there's a much
but
higher
you're
likelihood.
not being
Hold on. What
specific.
I'm
You're being
saying, right?
general.
Hold on. What
That's what
I'm
I'm
saying
saying.
is
You
that there's
can't
a much
do
higher
that.
likelihood for them to try to dodge your attack because they know that Jubito is a fearful opponent, which is supposedly
They
above
also know they're
Hashirama pure speed.
immortal with
Amen. What are you
regenerating
talking
bodies,
about?
so they
I'm
don't
not
suffer
talking
any
about speed. I'm just
repercussion.
saying that
Yeah, and
Tobirama
I'm
would
saying that you
intuitively
assessing
try his best
anything
to
on a
dodge your
general
attack.
level, that I'm saying that you assessing the idea of via AP feat to generalize deductive idea for what his true capabilities
Deductive
are
idea. What
or
makes you think that
anything.
I'm trying to deductively argue my point?
I
I'm
said
just saying
that
that he's a
you
higher
saying
likelihood for
that
that being
okay,
the case.
you're now you're strawmanning because you just took a few words out of my sentence and didn't properly
Okay, so what
correlate
are you
it.
trying to
I'm
say,
saying
Donner?
I'm saying that you saying that just because they are able to see an AP feed cannot give a specific classification for the specific attributes that go for his combat ability overall because
Yes,
that's
what
not
I'm
going
saying, I
because
don't
that's
think the
more of a
combat ability is that
generalization.
relevant.
If this is a character they don't know anything about and it's in their best advantages to actually deduce as much information from as possible, staying singular to one perspective or to one attribute of a
What makes you think
combatant's
they want to deduce more
characteristics would be
information after witnessing his superiors trying to Hashirama?
because Sasuke and Minato agreed that that's what they're going for. So at
Oh,
that
what? Where
point,
is that stated? They just
oh,
say that he planned an attack. I don't think that you
yeah,
planned an attack after
yeah,
getting
I
blitzed
said, yeah,
entails or
I explained,
logically necessitates
explained to
you
you
like
that
trying to
he
deduce
going
more
for,
information.
and I explained to you that them going for these methods is their way of doing their deductive or analytics as
Yes, and
far
then
as trying
okay,
to
so could you
assess
like
his
justify that
abilities.
claim?
Yeah, sure, I can get you a panel. Hold on. So who's the judge for this? Who's the judge? Knowledge of presence. Sure. Okay. Yeah, the Evan's already there, so just waiting on you.
I'm here. I don't think Ajax is here. I think Ajax either had to go do something.
Yeah, probably should have said something. Probably talk to me, buddy.
What's up?
Why you do see that we're both trying you do see that we're both trying to say our points, but we keep cutting each other off, correct?
Yeah, I know. That's why I'm telling
Okay.
y'all to find a better system for it.
Okay, so you see that when I say a point, okay, I'm not asking you to take favors, but you do understand that this started with me trying to say that you can't interrupt me
I
or
know he
try to
interrupted you
take a
first.
discuss.
I know he interrupted you first.
And if I can't finish my explanation of things that he's asking, then how exactly am I supposed to just be okay with him just strawmanning me or saying anything else?
No, because the first time I let y'all duke it out, and then the second time you interrupted him.
Yeah, because he interrupted me.
Yeah. Okay, so now y'all are even, and you shouldn't be interrupting each other anymore.
As long as and I'm assuming you're judging this, or like who do you think is judging
Yeah.
this? Okay, I'm going to work under the idea that you can verify or deny, depending on how you look at it. That if I'm going to answer a question, I shouldn't be cut off when I'm not done speaking, and then I can let him know when I'm done without
Yeah.
trying to make multiple points out. And I will respect him explaining his stuff, but if he misconstrues what I'm saying or tries to simplify it in a way that's not exactly what I'm saying, then I'm going to just tell him to politely stop strawmanning me.
If he asks you a question and then interrupts you before you can't even answer it, then yeah.
Okay.
Okay, I'm back.
Yeah, I posted the panel too.
I also know what else you said. So yeah, that's fine.
Okay, just so I'm clear, you're a
Okay,
judge,
so
caller, or
this panel, right? This panel makes it obvious that the way in which they fight Aviso was mainly from like an analysis perspective where they're trying to find out more about his abilities and so on, right? But I don't think, right, this refutes like my main argument, which is that Jubito, right, this despite the fact that you could make the argument that they were analyzing his abilities, therefore they could have potentially got hit by Aviso intentionally, right? I don't think this is a defeater to the fact, or this would even prove that they are relevant to Jubito, because there's like verbatim statements and feats, which makes it very obvious to the narrative that Jubito, unstable Jubito, that is, skills above the Hokages.
Not inherently due to the fact
And I
that
don't think,
Togurama
and hold
still
on, and
attacks him
also, could I
anyway.
make another point? Also, right?
No, no, I'm gonna respond to this first and let me finish, and then we can go to your next idea point for this. Okay. So you saying that just it doesn't subs substantiates for an argument of what we're talking about is not true due to the fact that, for one, their intention can simply still be that they are assessing his abilities, but the fact that they can still do what they can as their own abilities or capabilities go for can still be utilized because there's nothing inherently saying they have to hold back at all, especially since we know that for the most part they're trying to defeat him. So I would just say that at that point, they could still just fight as they usually would, which at this point for Togurama, we don't know
Yeah,
since look the
that
story's
wouldn't
backstory.
defeat my point, or wouldn't really help your point anyway. But that's a
Yeah,
good
yeah,
clarification.
what because it's
No,
relativistic anyway, or not.
it doesn't matter. So could I get onto
Yeah,
the
it
other?
does, but it does. But if you want to try to move on from this,
Okay, so you're saying that they could be going all out while trying to analyze their abilities. How does this help your stance?
no, I'm saying that they just because they are assessing the abilities and his movements or so on does not mean that they inherently have to hold back either.
Sure.
Like I'm saying that they could just still do what they usually do, but there's nothing saying that they either one can't hold back or two hold back
Argument
in
for
general,
Rama
especially.
being relative or superior to Jubito is what?
If the information is still presented, and that as far as the third, fourth, and even Jubito himself see that Tobirama tagged him before he could recognize it and before Minato who
I don't think he
supposedly
couldn't recognize it. I think
you
rather
see him
that I
surprised.
don't think Jubito tried to dodge the attack or dodge Tobirama trying to tag him.
I mean, you have no proof to
You
say
realize
that
that like
he
you realize
actually
that
saw it
unstable
coming.
Jubito, huh? You realize that unstable Jubito, right? He has like an unstable cognitive status, right? So like he doesn't really have any mental consciousness. So he has like he has somewhat like an animalistic behavior in persona, right? He's more like the his persona is
Not
synonymous to like the
inherently.
Ten Tails
No, not
persona, right?
inherently.
So
No, not
I don't
inherently. Because
why.
you would be assuming the Ten Tails is retarded or something. Because like you
Well, it
understand that.
doesn't have it isn't a sentient being per se. It is capable of moving. It has a sentience to attack its enemies, right? But it isn't sentient in the sense that it's as analytical as like ninjas who like has a much superior
Well, I
intelligence to
would
like
say.
dodge an incoming attack. So I don't
Well,
think
I
that
would
your
say.
argument is really like necessarily infers that Tobirama is relative to Jubito because there always stands the potentiality of him not trying to dodge due to his mental unconsciousness.
Well, we know that in the motions to which he does this attack, that Tobirama still responded in a
I think my
capacity that shows.
interpretation
Yeah,
I
I
think my
think you
interpretation
interrupting
is
me is not
supplemented.
a good idea for you. All right, so let me finish, and then I don't think you
I don't think
interrupting
it's
me
more
is a
like
good idea for you.
I
I
don't
don't
think it's
think
a
you
matter of me
interrupting me is a
interrupting
good
you,
idea for you.
but a
I don't
matter
think
of
you
me not
interrupting
actually
me is a good
finishing to
idea.
convey my
Caller, are you gonna
point.
deal with this guy as far as him doing that?
But I didn't finish conveying my point. What are you talking
You
about?
spoke.
Somebody
You
I
needs to
finished
made
your
a
moderate.
pause,
sentence.
but
You
that
let
doesn't
me.
mean that I
No,
finished
no,
conveying
you,
my
no,
point.
no. You
Yo,
finished
But
your
yeah,
sentence. You
I
took a
got another
pause,
point,
and I
yo,
didn't
but I'll
finish.
give
shut up.
you a
So
chance
and
later
I
to
was not.
refute my
Shut up.
argument.
You
Ajax,
either control
Ajax.
this guy.
Yo, Ajax, let him finish, and then you can.
What do you mean by let him
Wait,
finish? I was
let
What do
me
you
formally
say.
mean? Let him
speaking.
finish. Stop talking.
I was
Stop. I'm
providing
trying to
Let me
another
finish.
speak so
I'm
you
argument
can
trying. You cut
understand.
me
If
off
you let
in
me
to
sudden.
speak,
reason
Stop
so that
talking.
yo, let me
refute
Stop
my
speak,
talking, dude.
and
argument.
I'll explain
Stop
to you.
talking, dude.
You gave an answer to Donner. So and you finished talking. So now that you stopped talking
I
and you
didn't
got
finish talking. I made a
Stop
pause,
interrupting
and I
our
was going to
moderator
adding
slash
another
judge.
argument to
Honestly,
supplement my
this is the
reasoning
problem here.
before
You're
he gives
not
his
trying to
counters.
respond accordingly. All right, we're trying to do this debate, but we're also trying to be formalized with it. So stop trying to interrupt people when they're
I
explaining
wasn't
things.
interrupting you. I didn't finish make a point. I was just saying, yeah,
You interrupted our
listen.
judge when he's explaining. You
I
interrupted
verbatim
me
stated
mid
also.
sentence. So
I
that's two
verbatim
proofs
stated
that you
also. Do you
clearly
know what
aren't
Donner,
paying
also
attention
means?
to other people.
Do you know what also means?
I
Do you know what also means? You realize that also
That's a secondary
usually
input to what
implicates
you're
an
doing.
additional
A
point, right?
secondary
If
input
someone's
to what
going to
you're
add a
doing.
point
I
towards
just
your
defined it
reason,
for
right?
you.
I
I just
said
defined it
also,
for you.
therefore I wasn't finished speaking. What are you talking about? I
You
wanted to
finished
finish, give my
speaking. You
reason
also
to give
interrupted
you the
our moderator slash judge, so that's 2 points to you actually not paying attention.
Ajax, just let him go and then finish the point you were on about.
Alright, I'm gonna mute you guys both. Just chill.
Nigga, vibes. Hold on. Shut up. Don't mute them. What?
No, because they keep on.
Bro, that's like not needed.
Y'all
bro.
let this kid keep mod?
Vibes. Stop
Hold up.
muting that, bruv.
Yeah, vibes. Don't mute them. There's no point of doing that.
No, they just kept on talking over.
Bro, don't stop unmuting.
And they're
So,
just not like.
so did you kick both of us, or did you just kick one?
Oh, I didn't mean to. I thought I server muted you.
I
You
mean-
guys just kept on talking over each other.
Bro, just stop
chill
talking.
and
So
quiet.
Donner, right?
I'm gonna finish my
reason,
point.
right?
I'm gonna finish my point.
No, I want to finish my point so that
Brawler,
I can give you all the time to see my argument. That's what I want.
Brawler, who do you think should go first?
Go first, or like
I
continue with your
didn't finish
thing.
up and met my reason.
I'm talking
I want to
Ajax,
finish.
let
I
our
want to finish
judge
give my reason for
decide
my
who goes
argument,
first.
so that you can give your counter.
Let
That's very simple.
Brawler decide who goes first.
Whoever brought it. Okay, who brought up the this point that we're on?
Me, I
Me.
brought up the point. I
Wait,
brought up the
And
mental
now you're both saying
consciousness
you brought it
point.
up. Which one of you brought up the point?
which point in particular?
The one that we're arguing on right now.
Okay,
Me.
mental cognition. Go ahead, dude.
Okay.
Okay, so as I was
if you
saying,
want,
right?
Ajax,
I,
start over from like readjusting your point so Donner knows, and then don't talk over Donner. Like after you explain what.
yeah, sure. So as I was saying, right? Because like Jubito showcases like a a similar personality to like the Ten Tails, right? Which barely possesses any sort of sentience or mental cognition, right? We can assume that Jubito doesn't possess a sentience to like, or rather, he doesn't possess the intelligence sufficient to dodge an attack, right? He wouldn't dodge. He would because his personality, right, is very similar to like the Tentacles, which doesn't like try to dodge or block. Like for example, when you see like the Shinobi Alliance attacking the Tentacles, right, with the paper bombs, the Tentacles are gonna try dodging an attack that are blocking an attack that he knows wouldn't do any damage to him. So I think like the Jubito is the same case with Jubito, whereas like his mental unconsciousness, or rather lack of mental sentience, leads him to not try to dodge Tobirama's attack because he just knows that Tobirama's attacks wouldn't have any effect on him. And I just think that the possibility of him not trying to dodge the attack is supported by the fact that he initially blitzed Tobirama, right? And there's no sign or anything which implicates a sign any sort of relativity between both individuals. What's your comment to this?
Dude, interpretations as a counter to that. So I'm gonna say that for one, the Ten Tails itself does have mental cognition to actually be able to respond and identify threats to it, as shown earlier with the war, with how the Yuki or the Eight Tails creature tries to fire a BG bomb in its eye, and not only could it see it and recognize that it's coming, but instead of having to test its own durability in response to that, it simply just fling the attack back at it, showing it does have mental cognition. Second, the fact that the G Jinchuriki shows that it can respond to attacks at it anyway, would still show that that would be it doing that. In the example of when the paper bomb is being detonated on him, he still has enough time to perceive that he should use some form of defense, which he molds a truth seeking, or the stuff, however you want to depict it as, in a form of a barrier in order to cloak himself from the ensuing explosions that are being detonated on him.
Okay, so in your counter argument, you say that the Ten Tails does have some sort of mental cognition, which I don't inherently disagree with. However, I don't think this mental cognition or the amount of mental cognition that the Ten Tails possess is sufficient for it to like dodge or take attacks as seriously or anywhere near seriously as intelligent ninjas or ninjas with a much higher sentience and or intelligence, right? Which is the reason why when the Eight Tails on the Tails attack, Tails is simply like use his finger and block the attack, right? It doesn't take attacks which aren't that effective against it seriously at all. And I think this just supports my interpretation of the feat.
No, that wouldn't due to the fact that Ten Tails itself still shows that it has enough identification to attacks or threats that are posed upon it to where it still finds a method of response regardless. And if we was supposedly on this level of low mental cognition to just think of it as nothing, which could just be display of arrogance or some form of personality that finds things be loathing of it, that would still just say that in this case he still has enough sense to know what could hurt him or whatnot. So he would just play it smart in the sense of just defending himself anyway. Plus,
Not necessarily, because I don't think that, like, as I said before, right? Even though this
well,
may
I was
feel as
saying
if
plus,
I'm just
and I was trying to say something. He interrupted me. So how you want to do that?
I thought you finished.
I say plus, and I'm not done. But
Okay,
I mean,
continue what you're
you.
saying.
So plus, you do understand that even say that this doesn't work, the argument is still on the fact that Toby Rama is doing an attack while the character in question that's about to hit him is launching the attack. So the Jubi Jinchuriki would still have this idea plan to hit his target, but Toby Rama still responds even faster than hit anyway, which
Could
is
you
still
give
fine in my opinion.
justification towards him hitting him while he got attacked? I
I
think
mean,
I think
I mean, I
Tobirama
explained
attacked him
it.
subsequently, rather than while the attack planned out.
I mean, that would still show relativistic scaling since even Jubito doesn't notice that this is on his body. So, and we
Oh,
still
okay.
show
Could you
enough.
prove that?
I mean, it's shown that he doesn't identify something's on his body.
Oh, yeah. Oh, you're talking about the paper bombs. Yeah, I forgot. So here's the thing about that, right? I don't think that's like, firstly, right? I think that there's a possibility that Jupiter was off guard, especially right, when we see that the paper bombs or the tags were on Jubito, or when we're aware that Tobirama placed the paper tags on Jubito. Jubito was already not focusing on Tobirama. He already blitzed him. I think it occurred after Jubito blitzed him and took all his attention from Tobirama and Hashirama after thinking he got rid of them. And along
There's
with the
no
fact that
proof
he
that
lacks mental cognition, it would just lead more to the idea that he is not a matter of him not being fast enough to react, but more rather of him not his guard not being or him not being sentient of what's occurring due to the fact that his guard has been lowered.
we see him stop moving at the beginning panel of 639 assault. So at that point, there's nothing actually saying that he inherently has a new target in mind. It's just showing that he's taking a moment of reprieve
He doesn't
anyway.
need to have a new
Let
target in
me,
mind, right?
I'm not done. I'm not done.
Okay, go
Now,
on.
as far as you asserting the idea that or presenting a possibility that that he may have a new line of target is not supported by that. The second bit
I'm
to
not
it,
saying that. Are you finished?
I'm not done. Can you
Okay.
stop? All right, now I'm going to ask you to restate the second point you were trying to present as a possibility.
The second point with regards to him supposedly not, with regards to supporting why he got tagged by Tobirama without his knowledge.
I'm saying like you said that he was off guard in some capacity.
Oh
So
yeah, I was saying that I think he was off. Okay, so firstly, right, I would like to. I think your counter with regards to your counterpoint a while ago is more in reference to my off guard point. So I just directly attack that, right? So I wasn't saying that he has a new target, and I wasn't using that idea to supplement the fact that he wasn't paying attention to them. I think that, for example, right, let's say that me and someone else are like having a hypothetical fight and I like stab the fuck out of them, right? I don't have a next target afterwards, but I'm not paying attention to them anymore because I am justified to believe that they are already dead due to the significant amount of damage that have placed onto that particular person. However, that's essentially the same argument mine in this case. I'm not saying that Jubito will necessarily have another target. while you could argue that he has another target because there are multiple opponents around him, I'm not saying this. What I'm indeed saying is that there's no reason for him to pay attention to two characters he has already got. He has already raped in the booty hole. That's what I'm fucking saying.
Again, that would be relevant in the sense that just because he presumes his targets are annihilated does not inherently mean that he would not still have targets anyway in that mine. Plus, there are three opponents that were literally in front of him, but he chose to hit two instead. So there would be even more line of reasoning for if he had a sense of trying to eliminate threats, that there would just be a third target anyway to deal with accordingly, but he doesn't. And we just see him take a moment of reprieve. As for the idea of him simply just doing his own way of things, the fact that he still identifies and does what he does is still there. And plus, all I'm saying is that Tobirama still did action before the Jubito's supposed blitz attempt even occurred or even landed on Tobirama. So the fact that that's still an action in general, which is present in the story, still just says like my feat can still be presented, which either shows superlative or not relative speed scaling, which I'm aiming for
Okay,
superlative anyway.
so I don't think you're counter to my argument or my hypothetical analogy. Really defeated it because you just said that it doesn't inherently make this the case. But I'm saying there's more reason to believe that he isn't paying attention to them anymore because he's already eliminated his opponents. I've given reason to this.
Yeah, and I'm saying the reasoning there is doesn't make much of a difference in terms of the fact that Tobirama is doing this in response to this guy before he even hits him anyway. So the fact still would be a fetus occurring. Jubito still has that going on. It's canon in the story. So at that point, the feed can still work. The argument can still work. And all we would have from there is just, oh, well, he wouldn't see this coming. But the fact that that's happened before anyway matters that doesn't really change the fact that if whatever happens afterwards can be whatever. The feats can still be
Okay,
there.
okay, so I was a bit distracted. I'm very sorry about that. But
Okay, so I'm gonna restate if you need it
wait,
here.
hold on. I don't think you need. I'm not gonna like. I don't think you need to restate everything, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you get what my main argument is, right? My main argument is that Tobirama could have tagged him after he stopped paying attention to Tobirama, right? That's my main argument.
Yeah, and I'm saying the. Do I have to reset my argument?
Oh yeah, actually yes. I think that's a good idea.
Okay, so my argument to this, my refutation to your body flicker argument is shown with Jubito's scaling of how he's able, how Tobirama is able to not only analytically deduce an attack plan before Jubito is able to even hit him, but he also has a way of summoning a technique or summoning something in general before the target. I think so. I don't know about. Sorry, I'm helping my mom with something in the back.
Mm-hmm.
And so the action being done before this supposed blitz attempt by Jubito would just not inherently follow, at least in the sense that Jubito actually blitzed them. Because you already agreed that the summoning method that Tobirama implores in the story, which is even follow up after this feat, is still valid. And so whether Tubito is aware of this plan or not is irrelevant to the fact that he himself was trying to do an attack on him, and Tobirama still can just do something before this ended on him. So do
Okay,
you want
so
to just move
I
on
have.
to conclusions, or do you want to move on
Well,
to conclusions?
I
Because I
want
don't
to
want
share
to
my
repeat myself.
contentions first. So I have contentions with the point you started with regards to him analytically deducing it prior to the attack. I think he analytically deduced it right as he got blitzed. And I think this is consistent with the fact that Hiruzen later praised his analytical capabilities by somewhat implying that like here's is by he's somewhat implying that it's surprising that Tobirama is capable of laying an attack the moment or right after he got placed. Or at least this is just the interpretation and the connotation I draw from this statement. I don't think he
There's still
analytically
Minato.
deduces prior.
There's still Minato saying flat out he acts fast, meaning that he would just say that he did something faster than my perception could perceive, And Hiruzen's statement is still
Mhm.
just saying that a plan had already been set in laid for their response to the enemy, and the narrative still just says that the Hokage know that they have to find a way to counter this fool, so they just simply read him out, try to conduct themselves in a way to where they can still make advantages of their Edo Tensei body, and they can just fight and still read him out,
I think the
which is fine.
Minolta statement you used to substantiate your point is a hasty generalization fallacy. I don't think that him saying he's fast sufficient, or is rather substantive to support the idea that he planned it prior to the attack. Because I can say that someone is fast while being capable of perceiving their attack. How like the Joanins, right? After watching Lee and other Chunins, right, fight, they command their speed, they command their speed, right? But that doesn't mean
Air
that your speed is
against
outside of their perception. So hold on, I'm not finished,
oxygen.
right? So I'm saying that your argument, right, whereas you use the statement to substantiate the idea that or he supposedly saw the attack prior to the attack occurring. I don't think it's any sufficient evidence, or rather that argument is sufficient evidence to support your argument. Him saying that he's fast doesn't in any way imply or connotate that he somewhat planned the attack before. It could just mean that, oh, he's so fast to the point that he's able to plan an attack right after he got blitzed. I think this is a very vague statement, and you can never actually draw a definitive interpretation from this. Oh,
Yeah, I just muted myself. I want to wait for you to finish, and I was talking with my mom for a sec. I heard your argument though. You saying a hasty generalization is not true on Minato's behalf, since Minato just responds to how he not responds to him actually perceiving paper bombs already laid on Jubito. So him just saying that only just supports the idea that Toby Rama did do an action in response to it anyway. So the fact is that the lore and their regarding his summoning and how he's able to have an analytics and perception and deduction reasoning to him. It would just say that he saw this coming. He was able to work with what he had at his disposal. He has a mindset to actually counter the enemy or to read him out. And so at that point, you would just have to say, or you would just be arguing the idea of, well, it's the timing or when he's actually did it. But we know that the
okay.
but my argument
Mm-hmm.
is just saying relative and superlative speed scaling to this form. That's it.
Okay, so in your counter argument, you said that this statement somewhat implies that he was able to respond to the attack. I'm not denying this. I'm in fact agreeing with this. This is demonstratively the case. I'm not disagreeing that he didn't respond to the attack. To the
Did he cut out for anybody else? Because I can't hear him.
Yeah, get off
We
of
no, I could hear him. I could hear him fine. Wait, no, wait, I can't hear him now, but I could hear him before.
I still don't hear him. So, like, what am I doing here?
Hold up, let me like remove him from VC and bring him back.
I'm legit waiting for this argument point to go to the thing I know he's gonna do here. You're gonna love what I'm gonna say about whatever he has in mind for me to tell. I'm gonna leave and come back in just so I can be sure I can hear him too.
I don't care. We're in a neutral verse.
All right, if a
Spider-Man-
character is 40 in
Spider-Man,
one
hold
verse
on.
and a character
Spider-Man's cosmology is not going to be in the neutral verse. Neither is
Cosmology.
Paradox 616. They're not going to have the same one. They're going to be in just one neutral one.
Cosmology.
That's fine. That doesn't do it. That's fine. Okay, sure. I'll agree.
Okay, so I don't know why you're trying to implicate. Oh, Spider-Man's in Marvel cosmology, therefore he's weaker. No, that's not how it
That's
works.
fine. That doesn't matter. All right,
Okay.
I understand. Okay. You are aware that Zaranthium has passive absolute win?
Has what?
Passive absolute victory. You
Passive absolute
always
victory?
come in. I'll talk later. Yeah.
All right, what is that?
Absolute
And
to
why,
be able to
why would the feat work on? Why not the feat? Why would the hack work on Spider-Man himself?
Because it's absolute. Retard. What?
That's circular, but okay.
No, it's not.
Yeah, it is.
You know what absolute means, right?
So hold on. I asked you, like, you basically said, "Oh,
close
she
my
has
door,
absolute victory." I told you, why would that work on Spider-Man? And you're like, "Oh, it's because it's absolute." That's just the premise. The premise you made in the beginning would be circular. The reasoning you applied
because
with the
it can't be diminished. It can't be.
Why can it not be diminished? Like, what makes
that's the definition of
What
absolute.
makes you believe that the hat cannot be diminished when it goes against Spider-Man?
Dak is a
Because
rat.
it's like literally Dak is
I'm not
ratting
ratting.
so hard
I'm
right
not
now.
ratting.
Yes, you
I'm
are.
not ratting.
I've proven why absolute cannot be diminished. I said absolute cannot be diminished. And then you said, why would that still work on Spider-Man? That's literally
fine.
ratting,
That's
bro.
fine. That's
You're
fine.
being mad aggravating.
That's fine. You.
Oh. Oh. Hey.
Did I move him here? Yep. Kezi,
Bruh.
let me explain something. So basically, like, I'm arguing why Zaranthium has like absolute like victory, and I'm trying to explain to him what it is because it's not on Superpower Wiki, and he refuses to take what I say. He literally refuses to take what I say. He's just saying I could lie to him.
Yeah,
He's
you
saying
could.
I could lie to him.
You could,
but but then you could just fact check me. Just look up the definition of absolute
You have a
victory.
Mikasa profile pic?
Like, wait, okay, so wait, so is Dak just does Dak just like not want to use Superpower Wiki definitions?
No,
No,
I want to. I want to.
Yeah, but absolute victory isn't on Superpower Wiki.
Oh, well, if you can explain the hacks, then that's just enough.
I did, and he's saying
No,
I'm
no,
not
you
gonna
didn't.
take your word reliable because I can lie to you.
You
And I'm even using definitions to help
you.
you.
Told no. You verbatim told me look up absolute, look up victory. It correlates.
Literally, yes.
Okay,
What
that's
victory? What's victory?
That's not you telling me. That's
What's
not
victory?
You explaining it to me.
It's
You're just
absolute
telling me
win.
to
I will
just
I will
say like
absolutely win.
victory manipulation or absolute victory or whatever.
Could you explain to me what absolute victory is?
What, bro? What'd you say?
Could you explain to me what it is?
What is what?
Kez gets absolute victory.
It's
basically no. I'd rather have Kezi explain it to me.
Explain it. Explain it. If he says the same thing I say, I'm gonna slander
It's
you.
literally just
explain
like
it.
victory inducement / manipulation, but it's absolute. That's
okay. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying.
Like
bro,
what you would like.
Dude is.
Basically,
you would absolutely win.
You always supposed to win. Like with victory manipulation or something like that, right?
Always supposed to win.
Yeah, like with like victory manipulation, like you could still end up losing a fight.
You can manipulate
you just
the
manipulate
chances
like
of
whether or not you win.
Being 100%.
Yeah, basically.
Not, and it
but
can't be
if you have,
diminished.
like absolute victory manipulation, you're like you just always win no matter what.
Nail explained. Nail said, "Look up absolute. Look up victory."
I was trying to explain this to you, and then you said, "Oh, I'm not gonna take your explanation."
But thank you for explaining what it actually is. You can
he
go
said
ahead
the same exact thing
doing
I
what you're
did.
doing.
All
right. Now.
Okay, cool. I told him flat out, do it when you're ready. He's mentally prepared and all that. I'm like, nah.
What the fuck? Okay, this is weird. Have any of y'all read Black Clover? Ajax, are you back?
Can
Your mic's ass. Bro, we can't understand you.
All right, are we?
Yeah, hold up, bro. Ajax. Ajax is here. We just can't hear him. Man, who the fuck? Hold up, I'll be back like 10 seconds. What a bitch.
I thought he was here earlier. All right, so we continuing this. All right, cool.
Oh, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, so could you get back to what I was saying? And I'm very sorry about taking so long.
25 minutes. 25 minutes. Do you think that's an agreed upon burn up rejoinder?
Yeah.
All right, cool.
Yeah. Well, there was no established time limit.
Dude, I ain't waiting an hour if you ever take a long ass break.
But let's get on back with the debate. So what was the last point I started? I think the last point I started was me disagreeing with regards to the time period in which Tobirama responded to Jubito's attack, right?
You're interpreting that it's the... Yeah, can you hear me?
Hello?
He's speaking, Ajax.
Can you hear me?
Ajax, he's talking.
Leave and come back, I guess.
Ajax, leave and join back, because he's here. Yo, Donner, can you...
I'll just leave and come back. It's fine.
Donner, can you hear me? Guess not.
Yo.
Okay, I'm back here. What is we doing? Ajax, speak.
Can y'all hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you, Crawler.
Okay. Ajax, you there? Okay, then continue.
Yeah, your argument is like...
Can you hear me?
You're thinking... Yeah, I can hear you. You're basically saying that the timing is after...
Your mic's really bad, Donner.
Can't do anything about that.
Yeah. Go on, Dollar. That's sorry. Oh.
He's fixing it. Wait. Okay.
Probably be bad.
Can you you hear me, guys?
Yes.
Okay. So Donner, do you want to like repeat my sorry. Do you want me to like repeat my refutation?
Did you hear what I said?
uh could you repeat that?
He said, "Did you hear what I said?"
Oh no. Well, I think so. I think you were talking about disagreement I had with your arguments, the contentions I had with your arguments, which I'm already aware of. So I don't think it's. I think the only thing that's left is for me to repeat my refutation towards your argument and re-explain everything since like, or not everything, but the main points since I have been away for a good while. And then if we still share disagreements with regards to these points, we just simply move on to conclusions.
Nah, I think we should just.
You think we should just conclude? Hello?
Yo, Donner. He's typing or something.
Yeah, go.
Do you just like conclude on this point or what?
Donner, are you fine with concluding?
Yeah, we can conclude the point.
Okay. Do you want to go first or me go first?
I'll go first. That's fine.
Okay.
So, in conclusion of this argument point, my opponent presented Minato having superlative body flicker than my character in question. I made the refutation that this is contradicted with feats with presentation of Tobirama in comparison to Jubito, this state being unstable, to which then my opponent was presenting a blitz argument for Jubito being above Tobirama. I simply said that Tobirama actually perceived the attack coming due to the lore of both him having higher analytics and perception and deduction in the data book, and Hiruzen and Minato agreeing that he had already laid out an attack plan in response to Jubito coming at him in a blitz. I also had to explain that this actually would be more so either an argument that presents relative or a further speed scaling for my character, due to the fact that the way he presents paper bombs at this point in the story is actually via summoning, which my opponent did not have any contention with, but more so only contention with the timing per se, to which I presented that Tobirama's analytics and deduction would just show that he actually would perceive an attack coming of this nature. There was contention regarding how Jubito, in response to this, actually would not necessarily be of stable mind or mental cognition to actually recognize said attack, or Tobirama's plan actually being emotion, to which he tried to dismiss it with the idea that the Ten Tails doesn't have mental cognition or awareness of those factors. He's more animalistic, to which I present that now he actually has a sense of intelligence and mental cognition to actually know when threats are being presented to him, or him actually responding to said threats as presented with the Gyuki feat, to which I brought to my opponent's attention, and also how he responds to the tandem paper bombs exploding on him, and how he used a true-seeking barrier in response. Then it just boiled down to a matter of timing of the paper bombs being tagged on Jubito, to which I still presented my arguments as that would just present that he did this beforehand or tagged him in conjunction with Jubito hitting him. So this would still show relative, if not superlative, speed scaling, to which I was arguing for superlative. My opponent only just presented more so a analogy of the idea of how it's presented, and I just refuted that by still presenting the same argument. So I think I won this point. You can go on.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear
Okay,
you.
so initially, right, I proposed the argument that Minado not only showcased the feat, which puts himself above Tobirama at least in speed, right? But I also supplemented the feat with a statement from Tobirama himself, where he self admitted that Minado possesses superior speed to in comparison to him, and his speed pales in comparison to Minado, right? My opponent, right, tried to refute this argument by saying that there is some sort of incoherency or inconsistency within this argument, since there's a contradiction to it, right? There's a feat which directly contradicts it. I then asked my opponent for the feat which contradicts it. Then he point.
You cut out.
You cut out, buddy.
Mm. Ajax, you're not. You cut out for us. Okay.
Hell.
Yep.
Okay, so where did I leave off? What was the last thing I said?
Okay, so restart your conclusion so I can hear the whole thing again.
Okay, so I said initially I proposed the argument that Minado necessarily scales above Tobirama in body figure, as this is supplemented by the fact that Minado has a feat as well as a statement supporting that feat, which necessarily infers that he should be above in speed, right? My opponent's refutation to this argument is that there's a level of incoherency, or rather inconsistency, due to the fact that there's a feat which directly contradicts it. I then asked my opponent for the feat which contradicts it, or to establish a contradiction with regards or in response to my feat. My opponent then presented, right, the feats where Tobirama supposedly tagged Jubito. Then my response to that, right, was that firstly, he initially stated that Tobirama he was able to foresee the attack, right, and prior to the attack actually occurring, right, due to his competent analytical skills, right. I then asked him to justify the belief that he somehow foresee the attack, right. My opponent, and I didn't think my opponent really gave a compelling reason as to why he foresaw the attack. His reasons for this was mainly circling back to the belief that he has great analytic skills, and he has been praised for having, or he has been praised for being capable of landing or laying out an attack quickly. I don't think the statements from Hiruzen and Tobirama, Hiruzen and Hiruzen and Minado, which says that he's able to lay out an attack quickly, infers in any way that, uh, I don't think it infers in any way that he laid out the attack or was able to foresee the attack. Because I can say that someone laid out an attack fast or in a fast manner, but I could just be in reference to them laying or responding to someone else after the attack rather than before the attack. I don't think that he gave a good enough reason to make his interpretation of the statement more likely than my interpretation. And I think that since I'm arguing for the negative and I've provided an equal interpretation in response to his interpretation of this scan, right, I inherently negated his argument. Now, yes, I also pointed out that, and I also pointed out another contradiction towards the feed that there is a potentiality that Jubito was off guard due to his lack of mental cognition, and not only his lack of mental cognition, but rather the fact that he has an animalistic personality, which wouldn't make him which wouldn't make him as motivated to dodge an attack as much as like ninjas, for example. My opponent misrepresented my mental cognition point by saying that, by trying to disprove it by saying that Tenseals does have mental cognition, whereas this wasn't my argument. My argument was that he was lacking in mental cognition, not that he had zero mental cognition whatsoever, right? My opponent never. I don't think my opponent really attacked that. Uh, and I think in conclusion, right, I can just reassert my reputations, right? So his feat with regards to Tobirama tagging Jibito was simply negated by the fact that one, Jibito uh, displays a personality, right, which or displays a lack of mental cognition, which gives more reason to believe that he had no reason, or rather he wasn't motivated to dodge the attack, right? He was lacking in sentience. And I think this is consistent with the fact that prior to this attack, right, or prior to Tobirama attacking him, we see Jupiter completely blitzing him, and we see nothing which signifies Tobirama reacting to him or Tobirama holding back. In fact, my opponents early on agreed that he, Tobirama assessing his abilities doesn't infer at all that he was holding back his capabilities. So I can just use this and say that Tobirama wasn't holding him back in that specific instance. Yes, still Jubito was still blitz the fuck out of him. So that would just defeat his own argument. That's my conclusion.
Okay, so now y'all are both done with the entire debate, right? That's not obviously just for the 1 point. You're both fine with that being fine.
This point kind of decides the debate.
Yeah. Okay. Don, are you here?
Yeah, I'm here. What's up?
Okay, so I'm gonna give my judgment, and I can kind of just go further into why if you really want to know. So like,
sure, I guess.
So I'm gonna give the point. I'm gonna give like the point, which is basically the entire debate, to Ajax, but not with like easy difficulty at all. I'd say it was like 8 out of 10 diff, and that's simply because there were so many points that he gave you to like refute, but instead of refuting it, you kind of just agree with them all. You never really attacked any of his main points, and slowly, like over the time of the debate, all the points that you've been agreeing up on led to like the final point that was like just discussed. And since you didn't attack any of it yet, all this stuff against you, and I just think that's like what ultimately made you like lose this debate is you had so much against you that you already agreed to.
I don't think this actually decides the debate, really. If anything, I don't know where that came from. Also, I mean, I can talk with you on that if you want. I think that's poor judgment, but if you want to go with what you believe by your gut, can't really tell you wrong.
I just believe that like because of all the stuff that was stacked up against you, and you didn't really refute anything that he had attacked you with. You just like.
I mean, totally a point. I mean, you can give me a point right now, and we could talk on that. Like you're just saying
that. That's fine.
Yeah.
So if you don't believe it doesn't finish the debate, then you guys can continue. But I got Ajax left. Ajax.
Yeah.
He doesn't really. He doesn't believe that finishes the debate, so y'all still have to go on since that wasn't really the conclusion for the entire debate. It's just for the 1 point.
Okay, so what are the points do you have? Because since the judge,
your only argument is like a body flicker point here. That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that doesn't do anything.
Okay, why?
Because you don't have a win con.
What you said?
You don't have a win con or any AP to you, so it's like, what are you doing?
My character just slashes your character to the throat.
You didn't even present that win con. That's your win con?
Yes, so he just blitzes and slashes your character to the throat, similar to what he did against Obito, where he slashed him to the throat.
You mean in a KCM state he did that?
Yeah, I don't see why that matters.
Because you would be arguing this idea that he has superlative speed scaling. I don't think it's there, but I mean, that's the thing I gotta deal with the judge apparently on.
Wait, when the debate be over, bro?
I don't know.
If that's like an actual issue, like you can ask.
At Metal
Look, hold on.
You, but
well,
I mean,
like,
that's kind of like me and.
If he won a speed scaling, literally just kunai slices.
No, I get that, but I don't think you actually that judgment was correct. But I mean, we could do that. Like, how do you want to go about that? Because I could say we could just put this on pause and I go with you or whatever.
We could do a poll in chat.
Bruh.
Why would we do a poll in chat?
Is it recorded?
I'm just
I was
saying, if he
recording it.
doesn't think that
I
that's
was
the
recording
correct
it.
That
judgment,
was recorded, bitch.
A majority of the people weren't. Majority
yeah,
of
I
people
wasn't
weren't
even listening to you.
even
So I was like looking at chat
focusing.
most of the time.
Leo, want me to
yeah,
upload the
but like
recording or?
anybody who
I
wait,
think it's like literally.
anybody's vote who they weren't in at
Vibes,
the
why are you still speaking?
They're
I mean, vibes. If you were there, if they're fine with you giving like a secondary judgment, I mean, I don't know.
pardon. That's great.
Or if there's like a
I
recording,
mean, I kind of would just go to you since you were here the entire time.
Goodbye.
So.
who me?
Nah, I meant Crawler.
Oh.
Yeah, I'm here. What's up?
You Donner, right? I don't think.
I mean, I don't think you won that point, if anything, to be honest.
I think I won
I'm
the point,
not really gonna explain.
and the judge
to you,
thought I won the points. That's more in my favor.
I'm not really
I
gonna
think I
explain to you my judgment again.
interpretations.
No,
with
I
regards
heard
to-
your judgment. I just think that as far as you and me
that's
discussing
fine.
on
Actually,
that's
there
okay.
are multiple times where like I disagree with judgments. I don't really have any problem with you disagreeing. And I'm just saying that official. If we're going like officially speaking, right?
I
I'll
know
give
the
point.
official matter of it. I'm just saying that wouldn't
Donner,
necessarily be
after
true,
this debate,
especially
like
because
maybe tomorrow, Donner, after this debate, like maybe tomorrow, do you want like just have a normal discussion with regards to debate?
I mean, like you don't inherently have to stay for the point because you believe that this decides the thing, and you kind of just did a win con. So if you want to continue from there, then we can just do that.
Because my character, based on the judgment, skills above your, and they've already established.
Yeah, but you don't have an establishment here.
So
yeah, I'm gonna say that that's not true. Okay. Yeah, okay. I'm gonna say okay. How about this? I just talked with Crawler on the topic. We just get back to it if we need to, which I guess we'll hit you up on that, I guess. Or fuck, like we have a recording bot, so shit. I guess we could just leave it for someone to look at alongside Crawler or something. I don't know.
Yeah, I can discuss with you after because I'm about to debate laws.
Okay, so I guess that's then.
But Eddie would like to debate.
Was that